Hey guys. Happy Thursday, or it's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everyone. My name is Lauren Jbara. I'm the reporter and host for the Colorado Avalanche and Altitude TV, and we're so excited to welcome everyone in for this final day of the Girls Growing the Game series. You know, from on-ice learn to play sessions and off-ice drills, yesterday's bar session, and then finishing with tonight's Q&A. The Girls Growing the Game series has a little something for everyone. So we're really excited to everyone that's here watching, and then for all of our panelists to be here. Thank you guys so much. It's going to be a fun next, 45 minutes, hour or so. So I want to start this thing off with, kind of going around the room and hearing a little bit about everyone and their background and what kind of got them to where they're at today. So Michele, I want to start with you. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you're at? I think you need to unmute yourself, Michele.
There we go. Thank you, Lauren. Thanks for you and the Avalanche having us on this panel, focusing on the girls' game and the growth. It's a really exciting week during Gender Equality Month. So a little bit about myself. I grew up in Connecticut. I played for St. Lawrence University. I had the opportunity to play for Team USA on the national team. I've been very, very fortunate to have 26 years now being in hockey as my profession. So I've worn a lot of different hats. I had a lot of great opportunities. I coached college hockey for 10 years. I worked at USA Hockey for a decade as well. I got to work with our women's national and Olympic teams as the general manager. Was in a player development role at USA Hockey. And now I currently work at a great new facility in Colorado, South Suburban Sports Complex, where I am a community relations specialist. I work in the ICE department. And I also sit on an NHLPA female advisory board. And one of my favorite jobs, I'm the female ambassador for the Avalanche, Colorado Avalanche, which has brought a lot of great opportunities and a lot of fun events.
That's awesome. Thank you, Michele. Hannah, we're going to go to you next.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Kind of tough to follow up with Michele as she has quite the resume, but I'll try my best here. I grew up in Laramie, Wyoming, of all places. I played in Colorado before I went to North American Hockey Academy and did the prep school route. I ended up at University of Vermont playing Division I there for 4 years. I knew I didn't want to finish playing collegiately, so I went on to play 3 years overseas in Finland, Sweden, and Australia. I was super fortunate to come back and start coaching right away, something I didn't really plan on doing, but fell into that role. I started with Colorado Select, moved back to North American Hockey Academy, where I was an assistant director for 3 years and coached the 19 level, helped place girls into Division I and Division III programs. I ended up having an opportunity to work with the LA Kings and go over to Beijing and help grow the game of hockey the last year. And now full circle, I'm back in Colorado, helping develop kids at all levels and ages, helping college girls back in Colorado through this year and really trying to just help the girls program grow. And right now I'm helping out with Select as the director, try to improve their program and hopefully get kids onto the next level while working with everyone else in the state. So it's been pretty exciting for me so far.
That's awesome. We're so excited to have both of you guys. Jordan, I'm going to go to you next.
I'm Jordan. I grew up in Colorado playing boys hockey until the age of 16, which I switched over to girls hockey and played for the Colorado Select as well. From there, I went on to play at the University of North Dakota, Division I hockey for 4 years. I also in that time got to play on the USA 18 and under team. And then after college hockey, I came back to Colorado and started coaching for the Lady Rough Riders and spent about 5 years there. And now I'm the dean at a high school and I give private hockey lessons. So that's my story.
I love that. Quite a journey. Grace, I'm heading to you next.
Hi, thank you for having me as well. I'm a little bit younger than everyone else here in the panel. So, but no, I'm from Boulder, Colorado. I grew up playing youth hockey for Boulder Hockey Club. I also double rostered with the girls team in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Hensley. From there, I went to boarding school, and then in between my junior and senior year of high school, I took a gap year to participate in the 2018 Olympics for South Korea. And now I am a rising sophomore at Yale University playing hockey as well.
That's awesome. And then another Yale girl that we have here, Natalie, I'm going to go to you next.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Natalie. I grew up in Arden Hills, Minnesota, and grew up playing on the lakes there, and then went on to do Division I hockey and track at Yale, and moved to Colorado, fell in love with the area, and have recently been participating as a member of the Ice Patrol for the Avalanche. So I'm out there shoveling.
We got two Yale University people in this chat. That's awesome. Smarties. And then Nicole, finish with you.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. My name's Nicole. I grew up in Lakewood, Colorado. My youth hockey was similar to Jordan's. I played for the Foothills Flyers Boys Association up until I was about 16 and then switched over to the Colorado Select. And from there, I went to Lindenwood University in St. Louis and played Division I hockey there. And since then, I've been on 2 World Championship teams with Team USA, both gold medal teams. And then in 2018, I went to the Olympics with Team USA as well, where we won gold. So yeah, still in the player pool for Team USA and currently a part of the PWHPA for the professional side of things.
A lot of awesome stories and awesome women in this chat. So excited to, get to know you guys a little bit more and delve into what's gotten you to where you've been at, but we want to make sure all the participants, the cool thing about this is that we want everyone to be involved. So you can actually use the little chat feature at the bottom and ask questions. They could be generic for anybody or, specific for a specific person. And I'll be, asking those questions throughout. So we want to get everyone involved, make sure you're asking questions, especially things that, maybe you've wanted to, get answered for a little while and haven't found an answer to. Feel free to reach out and put that in the chat box. So I want to start with a little bit about, youth hockey. Some say you must start hockey at a young age to be good. But Nicole, I'm going to start with you on this one. What age did you start playing? Is there, a perfect age to start playing by, or can you kind of start whenever?
Yeah, so I started playing in the street with some friends, like roller hockey, when I was 7, and that was kind of when I was introduced to the game. So I started playing on the ice in that same year when I was around 7, and then from there, I was a skater, so I wasn't even playing goalie at that time. So I played like 3 or 4 years as a skater, and then when I was about 10, I switched to being a full-time goaltender. So I really don't think there's a perfect age. And I think a lot of people, especially a lot of people higher up in sports, will tell you that it's really important to play multiple sports and do a lot of different things and learn a lot of different techniques, tactics, skills in all different areas. So I don't necessarily think there's a perfect time. I've met some people that didn't start playing hockey till they were out of college. So, it doesn't matter when. We're just happy to have everyone in the game.
Jordan, what about you? What age were you when you started playing hockey?
I started skating when I was 3 years old. Back in the day, they wouldn't let you actually join a team until you were 4. So I threw a hissy fit my whole first year that I was able to skate. But like Nicole said, at any age is great. I had a girl on my college team that didn't start playing until she was 13. And so really, if you want to make it or just want to play for fun, everything's good. And it's fun to have people out on the ice that are just there to have fun and learn the game.
And Hannah, what about you? I want to follow up with you on this one.
Yeah, same thing as Jordan. I started when I was young on an outdoor rink. And I think a lot of people tend to go back to you need to start when you're young is because skating is such a unique skill. So the younger you start, the better you can be at it and the more development you have. I would agree, like as early as you can skate, that's awesome. But I also know girls that I played in college with that started at 12, 13 years old. And I think a lot of it comes down to dedication and, developing at your sport and whatever you find that you're good at and just kind of rolling with it. That's kind of what you need to do and how to pursue those goals. But I think we want everyone to start. We want everyone to grow in the game. We want everyone to be part of it. So it doesn't matter if you're 4, 10, 45. We do adult lessons too. It doesn't matter. We want everyone to join. But I think skating is a huge portion of it. So as quick as you can progress at that, I think the better off you are at playing the game.
And how about you, Michele?
Yeah, I had a late start to the game. I got the opportunity. I grew up with 3 brothers, and so driveway hockey, a lot of knee hockey, and then when my youngest brother was starting, I begged my parents to please, so there weren't a lot of girls playing. So eventually, behind me skates that were 2 sizes too big, fully behind it, supported it, and
I love that. Grace, I want to move on to you for the next question. Play on a co-ed team. Which did you like more, and how do you know when it was the right time?
Yeah, so I grew up playing for kind of a co-ed / all of the years here. I was the only girl on the team. Just for me growing up personally, there weren't many options around here for me to play girls hockey. It's easier for me to develop more with the boys. But I think especially now, more options there are just here in Colorado. I think girls now have the option to figure out what's easier for them. Obviously for me, it was just easier to 13. I didn't switch, I double rostered girls and boys team. And then I noticed that after playing 2 years of double roster team.
That's awesome. And then Natalie, for you too, was it the same story or do you have a
No, pretty similar. I mean, full us girls, and then it was all U10 team. And I think there's a different social side of being on the girls team. I definitely have fun play dates outside of hockey. And then I played girls full circle as being the only woman on men's team now. But
yeah. And then really quick back to you, Natalie. So boys to girls hockey teams and why?
I switched over. I mean, in 4th grade, that was the first girls team I actually could play on. So I never did any. I would probably defer to someone else that did it when there's actual checking, because I got out way before that. So I think that's kind of what I would personally go. I've always been a little smaller, and so being 5'6" against 6 foot tall guys would be a little challenging for me.
Yeah, Hannah, do you have any other opinions about that? What's a good age to kind of switch from boys to women's hockey?
Yeah, I think it just depends on where you're at. You have the Jordan Slavins, the Nicole Hensleys, the Grace Lees, where it made sense for them to stay on boys teams and maybe even double roster because they were just fit for the boys game. They stood out as players playing with the boys. It helped them develop to be greater athletes. Some girls, they want more of the social side. So maybe at 8U, they start with the girls and that's where they stay. I didn't have an opportunity to play girls until I was 13. So that's kind of my route and what I did. But I think it just kind of depends on the development of the athlete and where they fit in. If you can go in and play boys and be the top level girl on a boys team, great, power to you. Double roster with the girls, give those boys a run for their money. But I think each athlete's different, and there shouldn't be a focus on just playing girls or just playing boys. I think you just kind of figure out what works for you and kind of go from there, and hopefully people can help guide you to what's going to work best for you as an athlete.
Just play in general. I love that. So what if someone is saying, like, I want to play hockey in college? What should I do to be able to prepare myself for that? Nicole, I'm going to start with you. What would you say to someone who's asking that question?
Yeah, I think that's a goal of a lot of young female hockey players coming up through the age groups. And I think obviously putting a lot of work and a lot of time into your development is huge. Whether that's time on the ice or time off the ice, those are obviously huge things for your personal development. And then I would say a big thing is getting video out there. So that was actually how I got recruited to Lindenwood. Was I had taken video from games that I was playing in high school, and I had one of my teammates who was good at the film stuff clip it so that it was, just my saves type thing. And then clipped it, sent it to Lindenwood, and they were like, oh, we're like interested. So that's how they got in touch with me, which is, I help coach for a high school team in Minnesota right now, which is I'm currently helping girls do that and send them to college coaches as well. So that's a big thing with technology now, is you don't have to necessarily go to all of these out of state tournaments and all of this like travel and go to all these different camps, because you can send them everything college coaches need to see.
I love that. I know all that technology stuff is so confusing. So it's nice that, you had someone help you out with that back in the day. Jordan, what would you say to someone that, is getting ready and they want to go to college and they want to play hockey in college? What can they do to prepare?
Yeah, I agree with Nicole. I think a lot of it is your dedication to the game and the effort you're willing to put in, and, the extra hours and the training and just doing everything you can. If that's truly your goal, the way you eat, the way you sleep, it goes a long way. And then also for me, the thing that got me recruited was the USA development camps. So they have them at the state level, the regional level, and the national level. So I did those every year, and that's how my college coach found me, was at the national like USA development camp. And he was the one that actually recommended that I switch from boys to girls, because he's like, you're a great boys player, but you don't quite get the girls game yet. And I didn't really understand that, because I was like, what do you mean? I'm a good boys player, like I should be a good girls player, but they're different games. And so that was kind of how I got recruited.
And for someone that's in college right now, Grace, I want to come to you for this one. You know, what would you say was your biggest piece of advice, knowing how to prepare for the college level?
Yeah, I'd say probably my biggest advice was kind of bouncing off what Nicole and Jordan had already said, was the commitment and dedication I had for the game. I was a very active kid, and I loved to play all sports. And so I think once it came down to deciding, should I go to this practice or should I go to hockey? For me, it was time to decide, to go to hockey. And I think what Nicole and Jordan said too, with personal development, is a huge key. Just staying on top of, your athletic commitments, but also your school commitments, I think is a huge deal. Some students don't quite understand that their grades truly do matter until, junior year of high school. But I think coming from Yale especially, I think those grades from freshman and sophomore year are really important as well.
And for you, Michele, I'm going to ask you two questions. I want you to follow up kind of on what those three women said, and then I'll ask you another one after that.
Sure. I think that the generation right now is so lucky. There are so many college programs. We have over 140 in the United States. So lots of different opportunities for these girls to strive to play in college. They have club programs, Division III, Division II, Division I, women's programs. And it's not just in Minnesota and New England anymore. We've branched out, and we've got teams all across the states. And I think just do your homework, educate yourself on what opportunities you do have. Don't, shoot high, shoot for your goals, strive for the highest, but recognize that club hockey has some great high level programs as well as Division III and not just Division I. Go and be part of something special, play on a team, keep playing the sport. I would do my homework. I would suggest these young ladies to just educate themselves on what the schools are, not just the hockey program, because you really want to pick the college for the academics first.
I love that, focusing on academics as well as, the athletics, because when you're in college, you are a student athlete. So you focus on both. Felicity asked a question in the chat. She said, do you have to play on a AAA team to get into college for hockey? Michele, I'll start with you with that one.
Yeah, no, you absolutely do not have to play on a AAA team. You don't have to play on a girls team to get into college to be seen. There's so many different avenues. These days, the coaches, their staff, they have several assistants at the NCAA level. As Nicole was mentioning, the technology these days for coaches to see players. I know over COVID, been creative with different streaming companies in the rinks and talking to local coaches for references and feedback. And then you've got district camps and national camps. I don't believe there's one route to the top level, to the college level. I think there's many different avenues.
And Hazel asked in the chat, Hannah, I'm going to come to you for this one. Do you think it's possible to play two sports in college, like hockey and lacrosse, or is that something you recommend against, or would you recommend doing?
Yeah, really, besides the Division I level, and I mean, even some Division I programs will let you as well. Most programs will let you play two sports. I know a lot of people choose to go Division III because they allow for that. You get to come in as a multi-sport athlete, which I think is great, because I know a lot of kids excel at multiple sports, and to have that opportunity to go in and play multiple sports at the collegiate level is great. And I know that the Division III programs are really big on that. And then Division I know at University of Vermont, we had a few girls that double rostered and played softball when they could too. So I know it's an option. And I think if that's something where you don't want to give up a sport, that's okay. Find a path that works for you. Find a school that will allow that, and keep playing both sports, because you never know what will happen with those sports after college.
Natalie, I want to come to you with that one too. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I did too. I did track and hockey in college. So hockey is a tough one to do two sports with because you're basically from August to, March or April, you're in season. So you don't have a lot of room on the either end to play the second sport. So I didn't join track until the outdoor season, in which I did discus and hammer throw. Takes a lot of time management. And, I think I have 6 different calendars all color coded. And I think everyone here on this call has always had some moment where they said, oh, I can't, I have hockey, or I can't, I have track, or I can't, I have softball. And so you get comfortable saying that in a college setting. But I thought doing both sports was important to me because I was able to, when I was away from hockey, I was in track and I missed hockey, and it helped keep my love for both games. And I was always in season. So I was always hustling, but it was a blast. And I got to represent Yale in 2 fabulous settings and 2 great teams with just tremendous athletes.
That's awesome. So busy, but really cool that you were able to be involved in both. I want to move on to, some advice that you guys have for girls and women who are growing up and look up to people like you and want to end up where you guys are at. So Nicole, I want to start with you on this one. Where should, women or girls focus their time if they want to get better, like skating, stick handling, shooting, all of the above? What would you say?
Oh man, that's a tough question for a goalie. I guess, skating's huge, whether you're a goalie or a player. I think Hannah mentioned that earlier. It's such a unique skill to our sport that, I know that's the first thing that stands out for a lot of coaches is the type of skater someone is. But obviously that's where I think it's huge to get feedback, from your coaches, from knowledgeable people watching you, if it's really whatever you need to work on. So if you need to improve your shot, then, that's where you go and shoot pucks. Or if they, talk to you about stick handling or different things. So that's where I think it's really important to have, a community of people willing to work with you and help you get better too.
For you as a goalie, what was the main focus for you?
Skating for a really long time. And yeah, tracking the puck in and rebound control. I don't know. There's a million things, but a lot of them go hand in hand too, is the thing, as a player or a goalie, you're working on one, you're probably improving at something else at the same time. So, yeah, like we said earlier, it's just kind of about putting in the hours, and as long as you're having fun doing it, it won't feel like work.
Jordan, how about you? What would you say if someone said, where should they focus their time the most? Or would you say all of the above really matters?
I would say all of the above really matters. You got to be able to do everything in the game, in any situation. And so skating is important. I think shooting's important, stick handling is important, passing is important. It's just all comes together and it's all part of the game. So it's hard to pick one thing to focus on.
And with how busy, all of you guys are, one of the questions that was asked is, how do you prevent burnout? And Grace, I know, as a college athlete right now, it's probably, busy and crazy and focusing on school and sports at the same time. How do you specifically, prevent yourself from burning out?
Yeah, I think personally, what I do is I like to take time off hockey. Obviously, this year is a little different just because of the Ivy Leagues not having a season. But normally, coming off a season, I try to get away from hockey for a couple weeks, at least a couple weeks, I'd say. I try to, go and hang out with my friends. I'll focus on school. I do a lot of golf. But for me, yeah, it's taking time away from the game. I think, especially at the college level, like Nicole said, like Natalie said, we go from August until March. And so for me to be able to take that time off is super important.
I think that's awesome too. And you said it so well. I feel like when you spend so much time doing something, it's hard to fully appreciate it, right? Like whether it's, for me, even broadcasting sometimes, or like working out or playing a sport, it's nice to take some time away so you remember like why you fell in love with it in the first place. Someone else asked, I'm 13 and want to get into refereeing. Do you have any suggestions for next steps? Michele, I'm going to come to you for that one.
Yeah, at 13 in the state of Colorado, that's when you can start refereeing games. So I would suggest go to USA Hockey's website, go to Caja's website. There should be some officiating materials on there, direct you to what courses you need to take, probably get you all signed up, registered, and set you up with hook you up with a mentor, a local mentor to help you out. We're very fortunate in Colorado. We have a lot of female referees, so there's some fantastic female mentors that can help these young aspiring females. I probably should have started off by saying, one, go to a doctor and get your head checked, because I'm not sure who wants to be a referee. But we need referees, obviously, and to have females out there with us during the game, and it's fantastic.
That's awesome. And then in terms of growing the game, I want to spend, a decent amount of time talking about this because it's so important. We've seen so much growth in women in hockey, over the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years even. But Hannah, I want to start with you with this one. What changes would you like to see in your lifetime for female hockey athletes?
I would just say opportunity at every level for a female to have a role wherever she wants, whether it be a GM of a program, coaching on an NHL team, any of it. I would like to just see opportunity. If they fit the role, they should have an opportunity to be in that role. I want to see the game grow. I want to see there be just as many girls programs, female teams as male teams, and just acceptance in the sport. I want to see girls get paid for the game, paid for what they love to do. More scholarships for female athletes, especially in hockey. I just think there's so much room for improvement in females in hockey, and just honestly sharing roles outside of just playing the game. What else can you do? There's, whether it's refereeing, whether it's being a GM, whether it's being an NHL scout, anything. I think just advocating for females, but also sharing opportunity. And I think we can all do a better job at that amongst ourselves, probably on this panel, but just, sharing resources, answering questions, guiding people into the right direction. But I would just like to see the sport grow, and I would like to see females have, higher roles within the sport as well.
And I think we're even seeing growth here, just having this panel for other women and girls to watch and listen and learn from you guys who have been through it and have seen the growth over the years. Natalie, what would you say is something that you want to see in your lifetime grow for female hockey athletes?
That is a great question. I think Hannah did such a great answer that it's really hard to follow that one up. But I think you see people like Nicole and that group just, win a gold, and you're going to see more little girls that see them do it and say, I can do that too. And I think that's just so special for the game, is in growing it across the board. And there's just a lot of great, like, hockey has given so much to me in my life that I would love other people to have that same opportunity.
I love that. Nicole, I'm going to come to you with what encouragement, I think this the mom wants to know, can she give to her female mite to keep her engaged in hockey for a lifetime?
I think the best thing you can do is, as a parent, is to just encourage your kids, and just, I see a lot of young kids these days be at the rink like so many times a day and so many times a week, and just day in and day out all year. And I think that's when the burnout comes, is when, it's being pushed, and it's a year-round thing. I think, like Grace was talking about, it's great to get away from the game for a while and, remember why you love to play it and actually miss it. So I would say, just as a parent, just if you're able to just encourage your young daughter or son, and to just let them, kind of develop and make it their own, and not be too hard on them.
And this is a quick one from the comments from Katie. Grace and Nicole, this one's for you. It says, for the Olympians on the panel, tell us what it was like to play in the Olympics. So Grace, I'll start with you, and then Nicole, if you want to follow.
Yeah, I think my experience of the Olympics will probably be a bit different than Nicole's. Obviously, playing for South Korea, we weren't contenders for any medals. But I think for me, it was a really humbling experience. I've never really gotten in touch kind of with my Korean culture. And so for me to go live there for a year prior to the Olympics really helped build kind of my Korean identity, I'd say. And so when I was able to, walk during opening ceremonies, it brought a truly special feeling that words cannot words cannot explain. And just being able to have my Korean identity as well as, my American identity is something that I will always cherish, and, that I will always push as, I'm an Asian American.
That's awesome. Cool. Nicole, what was it like for you?
Yeah, pretty much echoing a lot of what Grace said. I think my favorite part was probably walking at opening ceremonies, because it's something I grew up watching with my parents, my sister on TV, every 2 years for each Olympics. So just to get to actually walk, I think was my favorite part. But to be there with the best in the world and just compete your heart out day in and day out was second to none. And to be able to stand on the blue line at the end and sing the national anthem with 22 of your best friends, can't really ask for much else.
How incredible. I'm like getting chills just listening to both of you talk about it. What a cool experience and a cool thing to be able to tell, family, friends, and then, for years to come. It's incredible. We have another one from Sammy in the chat. She said her season just ended. Any tips for how to stay motivated during the off season? Jordan, I'll come to you for this one.
It's a good question. First, I think I'll take a break, relax, and then when you're ready, jump back into it. I know in the off season, when there was no ice time available, I did a lot of rollerblading, find a trail and just go. I don't know. But then also working on those shooting skills, those stick handling skills. Michele and I actually did a really cool video that they published on Monday that you can go and watch, that has some good stick handling stuff on it. But just being able to work on the little things in your game will go a long way in the off season.
I love that. Hannah, I want to come to you for this one. What drives you to give back and grow girls hockey?
So that's a good one. I think because I had so many great mentors. I came from a very non-traditional hockey market coming from Laramie, Wyoming, and we were fortunate enough to have people guide us and answer questions and be mentors and say, you know what, it doesn't matter if you're from a small town and you grew up playing boys hockey on an outdoor rink, there's a path for you. And, if you're talented enough or, this is not even talented enough. If you want that and you want it enough, someone's going to help you get there. And it doesn't matter if it's going on to Division I, it doesn't matter if it's Division III, whatever your path might be, there's someone that's going to help you get there. And so for me, someone once told me, why would you waste knowledge that you have? So it's always kind of been in my head that I want to get back to the game. I want to help kids grow. I want to mentor. That's why I always pick up the phone. I always answer questions, and I always try to give answers. If I don't know something, maybe I have to call Michele and get an answer, but I think it's just so important to always give people the answers they need or help them, find their own way. But leaving people kind of stranded isn't what we want to do. So if I can just help grow the game and answer questions, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, Michele, do you have a follow-up to that? Because I know that you're really, you're the Colorado Avalanche, female hockey ambassador. So I know, that's a passion of yours.
Yeah, I love our little sorority fraternity within our sport. It's a big sport, but it's also so small in so many ways. And, just this week alone, working with the Avalanche staff and being able to just call up college coaches that have players from Colorado participating in the NCAA championships and being able to recognize those women and everyone's excited to showcase the talent that we have here through the Avalanche. So yeah, I'm extremely passionate about it. So many people paved the road for me before, and you talk about the 1990 women's national team, and those were my idols, and few women growing up, and obviously growing up out east, I was competitors, fan of another club that I won't mention, but those were our idols growing up, and I think it's important to have female role models in our sport. I think we're at the point where we had an earlier question of what would you like to see the game go, and I think if we had a viable professional women's hockey league, that just opens up so many doors for professional careers for women. Doesn't matter if you're a broadcaster, play-by-play, you're a host, GM, strength coach, coach on the bench. There's so many different opportunities that would open up if the women had a viable professional league. So, yeah.
Really awesome. I'm getting the cue that it might be time to wrap up. But before we do, I kind of want to go around in a circle and maybe, if everyone wants to just say, maybe the biggest piece of advice they've ever gotten or something that you want to just leave the women's hockey community with before we leave this chat. Grace, I'm going to start with you on that one and just kind of go around in a circle where everyone's cameras are. So just anything that you want to leave for, the girls and women that are watching this.
Yeah, I'd say some of the biggest advice I had was keep having fun, keep enjoying the game. I think especially now, so many athletes come up and they're stressed out by the pressure. Hockey's meant to be a fun game, and I think, if you want to get to the top level, there are certain things that, you're going to have to work a little harder, but if it's not fun, I don't do it. I'd say that's the biggest part for me, especially when hockey starts getting frustrating and when it's not becoming, a fun part of my life. I take a step back and then I realize how much I miss it.
If you're having fun, you never have to work a day in your life. I've heard that from a lot of people. Jordan, I'm going to come to you next.
Reiterating what Grace said, just make sure you're having fun. But the thing that was always like in the back of my mind as a player growing up was two things. One, you never know who's watching. So to make sure you're always doing your best. And then two, like when you're training and you think you're doing something good, there's somebody out there working harder than you are. So you need to do more. And I know that maybe not be the best advice, but it was always in the back of my head. And that's what drove me to be the player that I became.
I love that. I feel like, if you give 150% every single day and you outwork everyone that's around you, you're always going to be, the best that you can be, and you can never have any excuses of not. Nicole, I'm going to come to you next.
Yeah, I really like what Jordan and Grace said. I think, I think the thing that I always take with me is you're going to remember the teammates and the coaches and, the moments more than you're going to remember the wins and losses. So make sure you're making every effort to just enjoy the time with your teammates, and because it ends way too quickly. So enjoy every second and yeah, just love the game.
Cherish the moments, cherish the memories. I love that. Natalie, coming to you.
Yeah, that was one of mine, but I think enjoy it because it goes by so fast. And I think I just wish I'd reveled in the moment a little bit more. And then my second one is I think hockey teaches a lot about life. And when you say, I want to have a goal, I want to have a better shot, or I want to be a faster skater, I think the biggest thing is reverse engineer what it's going to take to get there. So I want to have a better shot. That means I'm going to shoot 10,000 pucks in a summer. That means I shoot 100 pucks a day. I think that is one of the biggest skills that hockey can teach you about goal setting and what it takes to reach your goals.
Set those attainable goals and follow through with them. I think that's hockey and, life in general. I love that. Hannah, I'm going to come to you, then Michele, I'll finish with you.
I would agree with what everyone said, but also be a student of the game, watch the game, watch it as it evolves. You're only going to get better if you can see what's going on with the game. Especially we're so lucky now that some of the women's games are televised. Go back, watch those games, see what those girls are doing. Follow them on Instagram, see what their training routine's like, and then also know that your path doesn't have to end with playing. And I've said that before, but there's so many opportunity for girls to continue to ref or go on and have more opportunities with being a director, GM. I've said it a million times, but I really am passionate about girls having higher roles in hockey. It doesn't matter if it's the girls' game or the men's side, but just know that your playing career does not end with playing.
I love that. And then Michele, and ending with you before we wrap it up.
Yeah, so being the senior member on this panel, I would say, just to echo what everyone has said, really enjoy the moment. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You can play this game and be involved in this game until you're 100. So enjoy the journey.
I love it. Enjoy the journey. Ladies, thank you so much for, taking the time to do this and help spread the word about women in hockey. And, it doesn't just have to be playing. It can be broadcasting or being a higher member, in a coaching staff, et cetera. So it's cool to just be able to see how everyone's paths are different, but also similar at the same time. And I learned a lot too. So it was really nice, getting to meet everyone and have this time to chat a little bit. And also to our participants, thank you guys so much for participating in the Girls Growing the Game series this week. What an awesome way to learn about, girls and women in hockey and grow your knowledge and also grow your game at the same time. You can continue to follow along at co.hockey for more on girls hockey opportunities. So thank you guys so much. It's been so much fun, and go enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.